Well,
here we
a
are.
couple. I just wanted to add to John's introduction. George has been on all the networks. He's been on most important shows, but I think most impressive was his appearance on "Have I Got News for You." He was on the
Somebody with this kind of psychopathology could do with another term in office, and everyone decided they wanted to learn the hard way. And here we are. I mean, you're right. I should have like a tech support T-shirt, right?
You're disrespecting the show, and you're disrespecting Harry, and I can't tolerate that.
Imagine playing chess with someone who flips the board when they start losing. That's basically what happened when George Conway, a respected conservative lawyer, methodically listed all of Trump's business failures on live TV. Trump's response? A full nuclear meltdown that would make Chernobyl look like a microwave oven. The most devastating part wasn't even the criticism, it was who it came from. This wasn't some liberal commentator Trump could dismiss. This was the husband of his loyal advisor Kellyanne Conway, a fellow conservative who simply stated facts that Trump couldn't hide from. And boy, did we see what happens when Trump has nowhere to run from the truth. Hey, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. We know you want to.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, if you are this personality type, you want to destroy everything around you because that shows how powerful you are. Only way a lot of the things that he is doing makes any sense at all is if he were intentionally doing that to destroy the country.
Right.
And it shows, it fits your psychopathology in another way. I mean, I'm telling the doctors this, but you can correct me.
No, but this is a very important
hopefully
point.
Expand.
Yeah.
The desire to seek revenge on everybody for every slight.
Go ahead, we'll wait. All right, appreciate it. Now back to the video. Did you ever see a grown man have a complete meltdown over someone simply stating facts? That's exactly what happened when George Conway stepped into the ring with Trump. And trust me, this wasn't just any ordinary criticism. This was the political equivalent of your best friend's spouse telling everyone at the party about that embarrassing thing you did in college that you were hoping nobody would ever mention again. See, George Conway isn't just some random Trump critic that our former president could easily brush off. He's the husband of Kellyanne Conway, one of Trump's most loyal defenders and advisors. Imagine having your trusted ally's spouse systematically dismantling your carefully crafted image piece by piece. That's the situation Trump found himself in, and boy did it get under his orange skin. While Kellyanne was busy on TV defending Trump's every move and spinning his latest controversies into somehow being positive achievements, George was meticulously preparing to expose Trump's business failures with cold, hard facts. Talk about awkward Thanksgiving dinners at the Conway household. Pass the turkey, dear, and by the way, I'm planning to publicly eviscerate your boss's business reputation tomorrow. What made Conway's approach so genius was its simplicity. No yelling, no name-calling, no dramatic accusations. Just a calm, collected listing of Trump's biggest business disasters that everyone already knew about, but somehow Trump had managed to paper over with his very successful businessman routine. It's like Conway looked at the Trump playbook of chaos and noise and decided to counter it with something completely different, quiet, undeniable facts. The beauty was in Conway's delivery, like a surgeon with a scalpel rather than a sledgehammer. He calmly listed failure after failure that Trump couldn't just wave away as fake news. And this is where Conway's strategy was absolutely brilliant. He focused on Trump's documented business failures, things that were part of the public record that Trump couldn't deny. In his devastating takedown, Conway methodically exposed Trump's bankrupt Atlantic City casinos, which collapsed spectacularly despite Trump's promises of unrivaled success. He highlighted the Trump Taj Mahal specifically, a billion-dollar casino disaster that helped tank his entire casino empire. Conway didn't need to exaggerate, the numbers spoke for themselves. These bankruptcies had left investors, creditors, and the city of Atlantic City holding the bag while Trump somehow spun the story to make himself look like the victim. But Conway wasn't done. He also brought up Trump Airlines, another spectacular failure where Trump's golden touch turned to rust. And perhaps most damaging of all, Conway calmly detailed the Trump University scandal, which resulted in a $25 million settlement after allegations of fraud and deceptive practices. These weren't partisan attacks. These were documented business disasters that showed the emperor had no clothes. What made this so devastating wasn't just the content of Conway's criticism, it was that Conway is a respected conservative voice, not some liberal critic that Trump could easily dismiss as having Trump derangement syndrome. Here was a lifelong Republican, a successful attorney with serious conservative credentials, essentially saying, "This emperor has no clothes, and here's the evidence." Conway's calm demeanor made Trump's usual defensive tactics completely useless. There was no emotion to match, no chaos to hide behind, just uncomfortable facts presented in a matter-of-fact way. When Trump tries to create a hurricane of distractions, how do you fight someone who just stands there calmly stating verifiable facts? It's like trying to have a mud fight with someone who refuses to get dirty. The stage was set for Trump's reaction, and boy, did he deliver exactly what Conway predicted he would. It was as if Conway knew exactly which buttons to push to make Trump lose his cool. By focusing on Trump's business failures, the very foundation of his carefully constructed public persona, Conway had targeted Trump's most sensitive area, his ego. As Conway finished his surgical takedown, you could practically hear Trump's Twitter fingers warming up for what would become a legendary tantrum. The calm before the storm lasted about as long as Trump could restrain himself, which, as we all know, isn't very long at all. That brief moment of quiet after Conway's fact-based takedown lasted about as long as Trump's attention span during policy briefings, approximately 3 seconds. What followed was the digital equivalent of watching someone throw their controller through the TV after losing at Mario Kart. Trump didn't just respond, he erupted like a volcano of rage that had been dormant only until someone dared to mention his actual business record. Trump's social media accounts transformed into a battleground of all-caps fury that would make even the most dedicated keyboard warriors wince with secondhand embarrassment. His posts weren't just angry, they were utterly unhinged, filled with the kind of rage usually reserved for people who find out someone ate the leftovers they'd been thinking about all day. But instead of addressing any of Conway's meticulously detailed points about his business disasters, Trump went straight for personal attacks. It's like watching someone get accused of stealing cookies, and instead of saying, "I didn't steal the cookies," they scream, "Your haircut is stupid and your mom hates you." Not exactly the sophisticated rebuttal you'd expect from a former president, but then again, sophisticated rebuttals have never been Trump's strong suit, especially when faced with inconvenient truths about his own failures. Behind the scenes, Trump's team reportedly went into full panic mode. According to sources close to the campaign, his advisors were frantically trying to get his phone away from him. A mental image that belongs in a political comedy rather than reality. Picture a bunch of suited adults chasing an orange-tinted man around the Mar-a-Lago dining room, desperately trying to pry an iPhone from his stubby fingers while he types all-caps insults between bites of overdone steak. That's apparently what passes for crisis management in Trump world. Despite their best efforts, Trump remained completely fixated on Conway's criticism, unable to let it go like a dog with a bone or a toddler with a grudge. This obsession revealed just how deeply Conway's words had pierced Trump's paper-thin skin. It wasn't just another critic he could easily dismiss. This was criticism coming from within his extended circle, and it was based entirely on documented facts rather than opinions. In what Trump apparently thought was the ultimate insult, he referred to Conway as Mr. Kellyanne Conway and a stone-cold loser and husband from hell, because nothing says, "I am a stable genius with excellent business acumen," like throwing a tantrum and insulting someone's marriage when they point out your casino went bankrupt. It's the rhetorical equivalent of responding, "Oh yeah, well, you're ugly," when someone points out a mistake in your math. What made Trump's meltdown so fascinating wasn't just what he said, but what he conspicuously avoided saying. Throughout his entire digital temper tantrum, he never once attempted to defend his business record or contradict any of the specific facts Conway had presented. He didn't say, "Actually, my casino was a huge success," or "Trump University students loved their experience." He couldn't, because those failures are well-documented facts, not matters of opinion. Conway's strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. By remaining calm and factual, he created the perfect contrast to Trump's emotional outbursts. It was like watching someone calmly state, "The sky is blue," and then watching their opponent have an absolute conniption fit in response. Every personal attack Trump hurled only further validated Conway's underlying point about Trump's temperament and fitness for office. The more Trump attacked Conway personally rather than addressing the substance of his criticism, the more he proved Conway's point. It was like Conway had set the world's most obvious trap, and Trump not only walked right into it, he did a cannonball straight into the center of it while shouting, "Best trap ever. Nobody does traps better than me." With each all-caps post and personal insult, Trump was essentially holding up a giant sign saying everything Conway just said about me is 100% accurate. His inability to engage with factual criticism and immediate resort to personal attacks revealed more about his character than any interview or debate ever could. As one source noted, this behavior further validated Conway's points about Trump's temperament and fitness for office. What Conway discovered was essentially Trump's kryptonite. Simple, calm, factual statements about his failures. Not scandals, not insults, not political strategy. Just someone quietly listing his documented business disasters without getting emotional. When faced with straightforward facts about his past failures, Trump seemingly has no defense other than to attack the messenger with schoolyard insults. While facts may have been Trump's public kryptonite, the truth created a private nuclear meltdown within the Conway household. Imagine coming home after a long day defending the president on national television, only to find your husband tweeting about what an incompetent businessman your boss is. Talk about bringing your work home with you. Kellyanne Conway didn't just face the wrath of Trump at the office. She went home to a marriage crumbling under the weight of political loyalty tests. In a revealing 2018 Washington Post interview, Kellyanne laid bare the impossible choice Trump's orbit creates for his staff. "I feel there's a part of him that thinks I chose Donald Trump over him," she confessed about her husband's feelings, which is ridiculous. One is my work and one is my marriage. But in Trump's world, that separation simply doesn't exist. The conflict got so intense that Kellyanne actually compared her husband's criticism of Trump to cheating on her. Let that sink in. Most couples fight about dirty dishes or who forgot to pay the electric bill. The Conways were fighting because one spouse wouldn't stop fact-checking the president of the United States. In Trump's America, telling the truth about the boss is apparently equivalent to having an affair. For those in Trump's inner circle, the rule book is simple. You're either 100% with him or you're the enemy. There's no room for nuance or, "I like his policies but think he's terrible at real estate." When George Conway kept pointing out Trump's business disasters, he wasn't just criticizing a politician. He was putting his wife in the ultimate loyalty bind. It's like Trump was standing there asking, "It's either me or your husband, Kellyanne. Now choose." The impossible position Kellyanne found herself in reveals the twisted nature of Trump's demands on his staff. Your job doesn't end when you clock out. Your entire existence must revolve around protecting his fragile ego. Imagine having to choose between your wedding vows and your work email signature. That's the reality Kellyanne lived with daily as her husband's tweets drove Trump into rage spirals. What made George Conway's takedown so uniquely devastating wasn't just their factual nature. It was that they came from the husband of Trump's most visible defender. It's like having your best friend's spouse tell everyone at the party that your fancy watch is actually a knockoff from a gas station. The betrayal hits differently when it comes from within your extended circle. As if the situation wasn't awkward enough, Trump himself decided to pour gasoline on the Conway marriage by publicly attacking George. He called him a stone-cold loser and husband from hell on Twitter, which is a weird thing for your wife's boss to say about you. Most workplace disputes don't end with the CEO insulting an employee's spouse on social media. But then again, most CEOs don't have Trump's Twitter habits. The Conway saga perfectly illustrates the impossible personal situations created in Trump's orbit. Suddenly, professional loyalty must override family relationships and even basic reality. Trump expects his staff to choose him over their spouses, their children, and apparently even verifiable facts about his failed casinos. It's like joining a really weird cult where the initiation ritual is convincing your family that Atlantic City was actually a brilliant investment opportunity. The strain proved too much for the Conway marriage to bear. After 22 years together, longer than most of Trump's business ventures lasted, the couple announced their amicable divorce in March 2023 of marriage, dissolving because one person couldn't stop telling the truth and the other couldn't stop working for someone who couldn't handle it. The divorce papers might as well have listed irreconcilable differences regarding the basic reality of Trump's business record as the cause. Their split represents perhaps the most personal casualty in Trump's war against criticism. While businesses, reputations, and political careers have all fallen victim to Trump's demand for absolute loyalty, the Conway divorce shows that even marriages aren't safe. 22 years of shared history, children, and a life built together, yet ye all sacrificed on the altar of Trump's ego. The couple stated they would remain united as parents, apparently figuring out that their children are more important than political allegiances, a revelation Trump himself seems incapable of reaching. What's the real secret to making Trump lose his marbles? It's not complicated investigations or political scandals. It's just someone calmly stating facts he can't wiggle out of. Conway's approach was like psychological kryptonite for Trump because it denied him his usual escape routes. No shouting matches to hide in, no fake news claims that stick when faced with documented business failures. The brilliance of Conway's strategy reveals a simple truth about dealing with blowhards like Trump. Facts delivered calmly are their worst nightmare. So next time Trump has one of his famous social media tantrums, just remember, somebody probably just told him the truth.